Thursday, Friday. Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk, raging against the machine that is going after public schools in the state of Wisconsin. It feels like it's an intentional attack on the public schools. I'm being a bit sarcastic there. It doesn't feel like it. We know it is an attack on the public schools because when you have a fully funded privatized voucher system without income we've thrown away the income restraints. It no longer goes to quote the failing schools. It's just choice because parents should just have the choice to send their kids to any school they want. Heather, help us out.
Yeah, let's talk about choice because Wisconsin has made the choice to have the widest gaps in the nation between
Mm.
white and black students when it comes to scoring on standardized tests. Wisconsin has made the choice to create and cement a funding system that treats kids unequally, that treats communities unequally, that does not meet the needs of kids, that does not fulfill the will of people to have thriving, joyful public schools where everybody's happy to send their kids and where educators feel trusted and valued and respected. Wisconsin has made a choice to make its gaps wider and wider and wider for each of the last 16 budgets, none of which has even kept pace with inflation for that year. And so these are the choices that our state is making. They are choosing to disinvest from the public good and put money into a wholly unaccountable system and just let their political cronies laugh all the way to the bank while our kids pay the price. And all over the state, if I'm looking for some hope, I see people saying, that is not okay. That is not okay
Mhm.
with me. That is not what we signed up for. That is not what we voted for. And regardless of their political party, they're not cool with the way that public education has become kind of the catch-all pull from when it's time to write a state budget. And so, what we've seen when we've chased these budget hearings around the state is that public education is the number one issue at every single hearing. People are saying, put more money in the schools, raise my taxes. I would rather see my taxes go up than more cuts to public education. Our statewide polling shows us this. We know people want to invest in public schools. There is a distance between what people want and what they're getting from state leadership. And it's a distance that we're going to close now that we have fairer maps, now that we have a Supreme Court that is slightly more bent toward justice than previously, and now that we have so many more people who are calling on Republicans and Democrats alike to do better by the kids that they've been
Mhm.
elected to serve.
Johnny, man.
Well,
You
I mean,
gotta
I'm great. I love hearing that because that's exactly what has to happen, right? I mean, we just have to do better. It's that simple. It's like keep it simple. We're not doing what we said we want to do and what we can do, and it's not representative of what the people want. This is a
Right.
government for the people, by the people. Listen to the general public, right? So, Heather, I appreciate that, like that assurance, because I believe it too. I mean, I think that's where we're at. Let's expose what's going on. Let's be transparent about it, and let's just do better.
Well, we have some evidence, if I could share it really quick. I mean, something that we did last year and also in 21, and the network also did in 19, and does every time the state solicits public input on the budget. Um, every single time, increased funds to public pre-K through 12 schools are the single most popular priority that members of the public raise. And it's not close. And it is combined with increased public funding for higher ed and childcare. It makes up last time 37% of every single word uttered by members of the public, while support for increased public funds to private schools made up 5% of the words that people said. So we aren't guessing and living in an
Yeah.
echo chamber when we say people want their public schools to be adequately funded. We tracked every single thing that people said when they were making their priorities clear on the state budget, and it was not close.
Yeah.
Man, you put that out there like that too. It's just like, okay, there are that many people in favor of, you said, the public schools, and the reality though is that, and I think this goes back to what you're saying, Heather. Hopefully, the new maps are going to play a role in helping fix this problem because you've got legislators that are not voting in the interests of their constituents, because their constituents obviously want the public schools funded. Their constituents obviously don't want private voucher schools being funded with their public tax dollars. But the reality is that they keep passing those types of legislation in favor of private and voucher schools, and then in the harmful, budgets like you have in Wisconsin, they're constantly a continued state neglect, intended neglect of doing the constitutional duty. As Johnny was saying, the state needs to fund the schools adequately to begin with, so that the taxpayers don't have to be asked to go to referendum. We say we end up in this place.
Yeah.
Man, it's politics, so it's a mess.
I know. Well, we talk about this funding gap, but in order to close that funding gap, we have to close that accountability gap. We have to be able to hold our lawmakers accountable to us, all of our decision makers at every level, from school board to the federal level. And once we close that accountability gap, then we can close all the other gaps facing our kids, all the opportunity gaps that are preventing kids from thriving in all of the environments that we're creating for them. And most importantly, we can close that joy gap and create the conditions again for thriving, joyful learning environments where all kids feel valued and welcome and like they belong, and all of our educators feel the same. I mean, this is what we really want, and this is what our kids deserve. This is what our community needs. So we're grateful for the opportunity to share these concerns. We're excited to keep coming back on these third Mondays and share these concerns with you, and bring some of our friends to really drive this home and connect the dots from what's happening in Wisconsin to what's happening all over the country, because you could tell these stories anywhere. We're not unique,
right.
but we aren't alone, and we're fighting back, and so are people all over the state, and we're going to win.
Oh,
awesome.
love it. Love it. Wisconsin Public Education Network. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
thank you,
Lenny.
Christian and Heather.
Join us
Yeah.
again
Thanks
next
for having
Tuesday
us.
for Busted Pencils.